I'm Amber Buto, and this is
Hosanna Arceri.
And today, again, we have another friend of the studios who is also a dear friend of mine, and we are so happy to have her on today and just hear all the great things that she has going, the things that she's doing, how she got into the industry, and the waves she's making in it. So welcome to the show today, Misty.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. I love the space and the studio and all the work you're doing. It's so fun.
Thanks. Yeah, it's been a labor of love around here, so we say.
Sure has. Yep, it's been fun though.
Yeah, it has. And you know, having this show has been really fun to just get to have friends of ours sitting on set and having conversation. It's a super conversationalist style podcast that we do. And it spurred out of us having conversations much like we were having, you know, out in the lobby, where we're all sharing stories and inspiration and motivation, encouragement for each other that are in this industry together, because Lord knows this is not the easiest industry. And so we need those encouragements. We need those stories. We need words to inspire us. And so these are inspirational stories of the industry. So you have been an inspiration to us, and I know you've been an inspiration to so many people in this industry. And I love your story because the tenacity and the courage it took for you to start where you started, when you started, and how you started. So take us
who
to
does that at almost 50 decides I'm going to start something brand new and do all these things? But
Awesome.
God, you know, my story really started after I broke both of my arms in a bicycling accident, and God sat me down for a year. I literally couldn't do anything. Have the scars to prove it. So as I was sitting there, I felt God show me how much I was loved. As a busy wife and mom doing all of the things that we do, wearing all of the hats, we talked about that. I just was always constantly in motion. And my husband had one day had said, I don't think you really understand how much God loves you. If you could see yourself the way I see you, if you could see yourself the way God sees you, you're so hard on yourself. And then God sat me down for a year, and I literally couldn't do anything. And he said, you don't have to do anything.
Wow, come on.
I love you. I love you the way you are. And then I realized I get to do things because God loves me. And then I got to be on an incredible journey with Jesus. And so when I prayed and I said, what do I do? First, it was write a book, and then it was start a podcast, and then it was start a podcast company and teach other people. And every step of the way, you know, similar to your story, like, I don't know what I'm doing, God, but you do. And so he is the best person to be a co-creator with.
Yes.
That's good.
That's
a
the
good
truth.
line.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It's kind of like our created to be created to create, you know, like we were created to create, and then to co-create with the creator is just, that's just a lot of creates in one phrase there, but I like it.
Yeah.
Joy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's fun too, like, you know, as you're saying that, I just get this picture of you can do it in rest. You know, you don't have to have so much just blood, sweat, and tears as everyone else does when you partner with the Lord.
Yeah.
You know,
That's
when
right.
you're creating with him, it's like the ultimate director giving you the insight of the quick tip, or let's do it like this. You know, like, I think I'll express it in my life a lot of times. I'll tell people, like, I'm just a bowling ball going down an alley with the bumpers.
Yeah.
I may hit the bumper a few times, but I'm still going in the direction I know that I'm guaranteed to hit pins.
Yeah.
You know, and it's so
That's
much
good.
like fun doing that, because the Lord's gracious enough to like pop up the bumpers for you and be like, hey, I guarantee you're not going to get a gutter ball if you just take the risk and go down the lane.
And I catch myself striving sometimes, and I have to get that check and go, Lord, what is my strategy here? Give me a supernatural strategy. You open the doors that you want open. You close the doors that you want closed. And when you can operate in that rest, it is such, because God's favor on us is so much better than anything that we can manufacture. Yes, we do the work. We put the hours in, we put the time in, we do the thing, and we do it with excellence, but we rest in God. And that's the beautiful thing.
Wow.
Yeah, I think there's a misconception sometimes in rest,
Yeah.
right? And peace and happiness
Yep.
and passion and pursuit and perseverance and patience. Like, right? So sometimes rest isn't just sitting. Rest is internal.
Yeah.
Right? That internal racing that you have to prove or achieve, or just that race is where I find in my life when I have to say, okay, I need rest. I need to quit having that run on the inside of me.
I can tell when I'm
Right.
on social media too much, like that angst starts to build up inside me. And I realize, okay, I've got to put my phone down. I've got to walk away. I've got to, because it creates this internal hustle.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. And that's where rest lies. Rest isn't in the physical sense of like, I think he spoke through your rest of just sitting and you can't do anything because the attention and the extremity that the Lord has to take each of us through, right? You know, like
I'm a
there's
little hard-headed.
Okay, well, I prayed for bricks for many years. All right, Lord, just knock me out with a brick because you know me. I will bulldoze through whatever. Like, just hit me in the head. You know, I'm like Home Alone when he said, I knew it.
Hey. Boom, just drills with a brick.
It's
Lord.
like one of my favorite scenes of the whole movie. I'm like, I'm that guy. Like,
Come here, you little shrimp. That's hilarious.
yeah, I will be the one that just keeps asking for more and more and more, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you're gonna have to. I quit praying for that over time. I'm just saying, but you know, it's really learning what that rest was for me and how to rest on the inside and
Yeah.
not physically.
That's good.
Because I kind of associated that with being still, like going home and doing nothing. But then my anxiety got bigger because then I wasn't doing what I was supposed to be doing, and so it was this yin to the yang, right? When I realized, no, you keep doing.
Yeah.
But on the inside, you find rest and peace with
Peace,
him,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And that's putting the trust back in him and putting the trust in, you know, I don't have to be perfect in everything. I don't have to know everything. I don't have to be in control of everything. It runs to that, right?
That's right.
And so, like, I'm going to release those things so that I have rest and peace on the inside.
Yeah.
In my life.
It's almost like a surrender, really.
Yeah.
You know, when you look at what rest
Absolutely.
is with the Lord, I mean, even in production, there's so much busyness going on. And whether you're a DP or a director or a colorist, I mean, there's so many avenues where it's like, I really need to focus really hard on this, or
Yeah.
I need to find the creativity in that. But it's really, I need to surrender to like the creator of creativity in that moment. Like, I think the scripture that comes to mind is where we talked about, you know, Jesus was resting in the boat during the storm, and everyone reads that, and we always pull out the storm part. We're always like, yeah, you're going through the battles, Lord gives you rest. But the part I love is that he was still going somewhere. Like, he got on a boat to go somewhere.
Yep.
My dude was going somewhere.
Yep.
And yeah, some storms came, but he still was resting in the going. You know, so it's exactly what you're, you know, hinting at. It's like you can rest
Yeah.
without having to be like your, you know, yoga pillow in the room.
Right.
Just hanging out there for every day, you know? It's
That could
like,
be
I don't-
lazy.
That's
No, I'm
never,
just
yeah,
kidding.
he never intended that. I think there's a season where he'll call you to those secret
Well, and I
place
think
times.
there are seasons when
Yes,
we do
I do.
run really hard and we do need to physically rest,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
Because we can burn ourselves out
Yep.
if we are not finding that rest physically as well.
I think that's in balance. You know, when you don't find balance in life, that was a clear word for me. If you don't keep balance, we were talking about this before we started rolling. You know, if there's certain days that I have to make myself leave from here at a certain time, because if I don't, I will stay till, you know, 8, 9 o'clock
There's
around here
always
working.
work to
There's
be done.
Always
Yep.
work.
Yeah.
It's true.
But if I keep the balance, I keep the career. If I keep the balance, I keep the family. If
That's
I
right.
keep the balance, I keep relationships. And so it's finding that balance for you in whatever you're creating and whatever you're doing, especially those of us that are creators. I mean, how many times have you gone to create something? You go nose deep and like you just dive into that
Yeah.
deal, right? And then you're like
Oh, wait,
buried.
I haven't eaten or slept
Exactly. Yeah.
It's
Yes.
morning again.
Yes. And that was a clear word, knowing that I'm an all in, I'm an all out like person. And, you know, it was a real clear directive to me was, you know, if you don't put boundaries and balance on this, you'll lose everything.
Wow.
And that was a really big word for me. And I was like, but I don't know how to do that, you know? And that went down a journey of trying to figure out what that is. So I've tried to keep that in different things that I've started, especially new things when you're
And it
trying
looks
to
different
serve.
in different seasons,
Yeah,
right? So
for
when you're
sure.
starting something, that's a much different place than when you've been in that rhythm for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So I think understanding your season is really important. When I had small kids, I wouldn't do the things that I'm doing now, but now my kids are grown, so I can be all in.
Yep. 100% agree with that. I mean, what made you at the place and the time in which you were like, I think I'll start a whole nother career that I know nothing about. What was it? What was it for you? What was life like? What were you thinking and what was going on?
So scripture says that the older women are to teach the younger women.
Titus.
And I realized I was an older woman. I had just been through a lot of things that could have really taken somebody out. And I'm like, if I've been through this, we all have struggles, we all have challenges. Yeah. And the Bible study I wrote is the struggle is real, but so is God. Yeah. So your struggle is not my struggle, but we all have struggles. And to know that we're not alone in the struggle, because the world likes to package everything like everything's neat and shiny and everybody looks really great.
Yeah.
On set you can look beautiful, right? But they don't see you after you've just worked out with your hair in a ponytail, right?
Yes.
Because we show the highlight reel, but everybody does struggle. And so I wanted to give people hope in that struggle and also take all of the lessons that I had learned the very hard way and say it might be a better way to do this. You don't have to do it this way. But that's really was the catalyst. And then from there, it was just praying into what is my purpose and my calling for the next season of my life, because I had homeschooled my kids for almost 15 years and that was coming to the end, and I had raised good humans, and I'm like, what's next? And so God was like, a podcast conference. And I said, what? I can barely podcast. But the beautiful thing is he knows all the things, and he connected me with amazing people, and he just wants me to be a facilitator. And I think anything that we do, he gives us gifts and talents, but he also just wants us to be a vessel for his love and his work to just work through us. And so just being available, I think, and just saying, send me, Lord. Where do you want me? I'll go. Send me.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so good. I think of scripture as you're saying all that, it talks about old men dream dreams and young men have vision, and it's like, what an awesome role to be in that, like the phase where I'm like, hey, now I'm giving you a dream. I'll dream on this, but it's so I can like help you grow in your vision. Cause we'll read that and I instantly connect like, okay, the visionaries are like real quick. We got a real strong idea, but then it burns out because we just fry that sucker so fast. And it's like, oh man, I'm just not passionate about this anymore. I wanted to
I'm a
do
good
this.
starter. I'm a good starter.
Right, yeah, exactly. A great starter, But we need those dreamers. We need those people who have gone before us to say, hey, you need a little bit of this. You're going to run into this wall. You're going to start a podcast. Great. You're going to have to figure out these challenges. And, I've gone through it. It's the dreamers who've gone and done all those journeying. So, me being a young filmmaker is just encouraged hearing that. It's like, man, there's people out there to like mentor me in that, or to steward those callings and those burning visionary desires. So that's awesome.
And community. I think community is so important to create with other people. And so that's why starting a podcast conference, I was like, it's just like having a party with all my friends and everybody come. And from there, then it has grown into all of the other pieces. But really, community has been the thing, because we should always be mentoring somebody younger than us, but also learning from those who've gone before us. And having that tension between the two. And when you're in community, you naturally get that.
Yeah. What's that line? You can't have community without unity. I mean, it's literally in that word.
Yeah. I think the reaching and the pulling. Like you're always reaching to be pulling, right? So in your life, I think that's when you have really the fullness, is when you're reaching for somebody and you're pulling somebody up with you.
Yeah.
You know, there's a fulfillment that happens there.
And I think there's opportunities that come the more I lift other people up. I don't look for opportunities. The Lord just opens doors for me
Yeah,
that
that's
I
good.
never would have thought, because I'm not just focused on me and what I
Yeah.
can get out of it, but instead I'm pouring into other people and lifting them up and providing opportunities for them. And the more I do that, the more the Lord just says, here you go. What about this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
It's true.
So, okay, so you start, not only did you start this at like the ripe young age,
Yeah.
50-ish.
Yeah.
But you also started it in a pandemic.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that part.
Yeah.
Nice.
This was fun.
Yeah. So the first event was 3 weeks before the world completely shut down.
Yep.
And my first sponsor tried to get me to move the date. And he was saying, well, the NRB is here and this conference is there. And, you really need to move it. And I went back to the Lord, and I knew that it was supposed to be February 21st and 22nd of 2020. Like, that was the date. And I said, I'm sorry, I'd love to take your money, but I can't move the conference. Like, the Lord told me to do this. And had I waited, I could have been in a lot of trouble financially, renting out a hotel and all of the things. And so then everybody was like, this is going to be amazing. We're going to have 400 people here, because everybody's hugging and high-fiving at that point. And, the world was normal. And a friend of mine said, you've got to capture this lightning in a bottle. Like, you've got to, sell tickets for the next one. And so I was like, I don't have a venue or a date or anything. He was like, oh, trust me. Like, you just do it. And so I did.
Solitary confinement.
And then the world shut down.
Wow.
But that's where I prayed and was like, God, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
And the NRB said, come in when we'll sublet you space. And so even in that, there was an answer to prayer there, that he just is the one that has guided and directed me all the way along.
Wow.
So then that led you to that partnership with them, and growing your conference, bigger every year, that then led to not just a conference, but you also have a show, a magazine. So you have other things that have come out of the start of this leap of faith.
Yeah, so I started praying about, Lord, these are the problems that I see in the industry. How do we solve them? So once somebody gets the podcast equipment and they have a good idea and they've got their show and they have all the things and they're ready to go, then they're like, where are my listeners? How do I find, where are my people? And so I started the network to cross promote and to help people with that. And then the next question is, okay, I've spent all this money on all these great things. How can I make money with this? And so started looking at, how do I solve these problems? So the magazine was a way for me to promote my author speaker friends who had podcasts, but it gave them a place to write, so that when they went to a publishing house, they could say, I've been published in this magazine. But it was also encouragement for people in the industry. And so it kind of served both of those. And so really trying to solve those problems, but also find ways to lift other people up. And so that's kind of how those things came about.
That's really cool.
Yeah, that's great. And we talk a lot on here about, being a part of a solution, not part of a problem. Look at the problem and then say, how can I be a part of that solution? Which is exactly what you did, was like, hey, there's a void here. There's something missing here. What can we do to help? And I think that's a brilliant perspective to bring to this industry, really any industry, to be honest, but especially if you're wanting to get into the industry, find a way to be a part of the solution.
That's right.
Of whatever's happening on set, whatever's happening at whatever part of the industry you're in, even if you're learning to edit or whatever part, look at it and go, how can I add value here? How can I look to see where there's a problem? I'm working on a film right now, and there's a big gap in the industry in Christian films for mass ticketing, like big group sales. It's a nightmare to be able to do that. So I'm already thinking, how do I eradicate that? How do I solve that problem? What do I come up with to do that with? And that's where I think it's taking it to the next level, next step, when you step into something, thinking outside of the box to go where there, holes or where there's shortcomings, to go, how can I make this better?
Yeah. So with the magazine, I told you it's about the people, but I was also going to the major industry event. And I also wanted to show up in a way that people didn't look at me and go, Christian podcasting, aren't you cute?
Yeah.
And wanted to do it with excellence. And I'm like, Lord, how can I show up in a way that they will take me serious as a woman in this business and as a Christian? Because podcasting predominantly has been a lot of men, and it's been very secular, or those are the shows that are the spotlight is shined on. Right. And so how can I highlight the hard work that Christians are doing and do it with excellence? Mm-hmm. And so it kind of was birthed out of that as well.
Yeah. That's great. That's another thing that we hang our hat around here is excellence. Doing whatever you're going to do it with excellence.
That's right. To the glory of God.
Mm-hmm. And everybody's excellence is different, and that's okay. But strive for excellence. Don't just settle to settle.
Yeah.
I don't let it be just good enough. Try to go, okay, how do I make this the way? We were talking before we got on air. I was like, am I just settling? We were talking about a certain topic, and I was like, I'm asking myself that. I ask myself that a lot. Am I just settling just to do it so I can check it off of a list? Because that's way easy to do.
So I have a circle of accountability, like some trusted advisors that I have. And so for the last magazine cover, I was going to use a photo that I had. And I went to one of my trusted advisors, and she said, no. Don't settle for, no. She was like, this is what you need to do, laid it out. We scheduled a shoot, hired the photographers, did all the things, and I'm so happy with the way that it turned out. I was just trying to get by so that I could check it off my list and move on to the next thing. Yes. And when you're a busy creative and you're juggling all these balls and doing all of these things, I think it's easy to go, it's good enough. But really, you're so much happier with the result when you take the time to do it well.
Yes.
Yeah.
1,000,000% agree on that.
I think that's even more so, as Christians in the production industry, that should be like our calling card of being in production, right? That we pursue things with excellence, like the word talks about. I think somebody said it one time to me, and this wasn't around production, but it was around sports, but, would you hit the rest of the bucket of balls if Jesus was watching you practice? Would you continue putting in extra time if he was right there with you? And I think about that on productions, hey, would I spend another hour or two on color grading if this was going to the Lord? If he was going to go watch it, would I actually put that much more time? Or would I'm it's good enough? Yeah. Because I wasn't just good enough, when he started doing stuff. It was all or nothing. That was it.
Well, and we're running our race with perseverance, and that means that we're running, right? Yeah. So we are working, but then it goes back to that balance of working and resting. And so, but it's if we're doing it for Jesus, we want to do it to the best of our abilities. Yeah, we want to run hard and fast and rest.
I think the key, all that. I think the key is, and I think where we get maybe hung up at times, is our flesh wants the credit for whatever we're doing.
Yep.
And we run after it for the identity of it or the credibility of that, instead of running at it with the humble heart of saying, I'm doing this for the Lord. Regardless, I'm doing this for the Lord.
And I think that it's very intoxicating. So I caught myself. I was in Washington, D.C., had met a bunch of influential people, was sitting with my husband. This man said, what do you do? And he was the president of a bank. And I'm like, well, I own Spark Media. And I could just feel this thing rising in me. And I was like, who do you think you are? Literally the Lord had to slap me down. But I think that it can be fame or being in front of the camera or different aspects of what we do. When the more people that know us, the higher our profile is. Yeah. And that is where we have got to just be flat on our face before the Lord. Yeah. Because I mean, we can't believe our own press, right? I mean, that's really what it comes down to is God is the only one who is worthy, and we're here to serve him. And so, but yeah, I felt that rising up in me like, oh, I'm somebody special.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
no. I mean, yes, we're all special, but
Yes.
all uniquely
Yes.
created in his
Correct.
image.
Correct.
But he doesn't need to use any of us. I mean,
Yeah.
we get to do it
Yeah.
because he loves us. And that's just a different place to be in.
I think that's when we switch identities, right? We switch to I am whatever I produce instead of I am what was produced,
Yeah.
right? Like if my identity comes in I own a studio, I created this is mine, then that's kind of sad. That's just all this is then,
That's right.
know? But when
Yeah.
it comes to I get to work with an amazing team of people. I get to do really cool things for God and help people and encourage. And, it's not my identity. My identity, I say all the time around here, everybody gets tired of me saying it. It's like I'm cool already. Like, I don't need anybody to tell me I'm cool. But, this industry is so on who's cool or not.
Right.
But
you can be cool one day and then you're not cool the next day.
Yeah.
And so if you
But
put
you're
all of your
striving for
stock
that.
into
Yes.
that, then that's when the fall comes. It's pride
Right.
comes before the fall.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so keeping yourself grounded.
Yeah, and so it's that whole idea of if my identity was wrapped up in this to be cool, then it also ends with this being cool, right?
Right.
Like if
It's true.
it's all, it's like shifting sand.
And this
right?
is not the thing that you'll take with you. Like you're not packing up
Nope.
a studio and taking it to heaven. So what
Lord
are the
knows
things
I don't want to neither.
But what are the things that matter? What are the things that last? It's the people, it's the relationships, it's all of those things that are the things that matter.
Before we went on air again, okay, I know. See the people, this is what happens. We talk so much and we have all these great conversations. Then we got to go, wait, save this for when we're rolling. But
We're having set life outside of set life. It's set life. It's all the same.
I know, we're just all here together. But we were really talking about something that I think matters in what we all do here, and that's legacy.
Yeah.
Because what we're creating lasts far beyond us even being here.
That's right.
And that's a lot what we were talking about. I mean, we are watching, you can watch movies from forever ago and none of the cast is alive, none of the producers are alive, nobody's alive, but it still has relevance today, right?
That's right.
Our podcast shows, the things that we're
Books.
speaking, the books, all those things are legacies in which that we leave behind. We also don't take those with us.
That's right.
But we do leave them for the world to make it a better place or a worse place,
That's right.
Yeah. It's true.
depending on what you do with this time that we have here and what's been given to you in your hand. And those that are watching that are in this industry have that ability,
That's right.
to create for good.
That's right. I think every day we have a choice. How am I going to spend the time that I have? And I think we were talking about this right before. When you get to that sort of 50 stage, I think is where it hits and you're like, what really matters and
Yeah.
what do I want to leave for my kids, for my grandkids, for other people? What are the things that are really important?
Yep.
And
And how do you make a difference in the blip of time that you're here? It was by no mistake that you're here at this exact time, space, place, everything, with a message and a purpose for this exact time. I mean, if you go back in history and you look at the Rosa Parks of the world, you look at people that really made a mark in the change of society or the change in the world for the better. You also see it for the worse, right? But for the better, that's the side I like to live on.
I think we see a lot of worse in today's culture, which is why I'm so passionate about people,
Giving voice.
taking that message that God has placed on their heart, whatever that is,
Yeah.
and putting it out into the world because
Yeah.
we need
Yeah.
all of the good messages and all of the different mediums. We need everybody. I call it sparking your soul message. So God has
Yeah.
put something on each of our hearts
Good.
that only we can do.
Yeah.
And so do that thing to the glory of God.
Yeah. And it takes all of us to do it.
Yeah.
I think one of the lies that constantly we believe getting into this industry is like, nobody cares what I have to say. You know what I mean? Or it's already been said.
Right.
I have nothing special to say. Or say, but you do to your audience in saying it the way you say it in the package that you are in, and the timing and all of that reaches your audience and your people in the way that you see it and articulate it or write it. Or, I mean, I've met brilliant writers that you just give them they're like little wordsmiths. You just say one little thing and then they give you this thing back. And I'm like, you got all that from what I just said? I was like,
Mr. Webster.
I'm like, this is amazing. That's like a real gift.
Wow.
Like I couldn't do that to save my life. But they're like, well, I couldn't talk to save my life. I mean, so it takes all of our gifts in this realm, saying good and doing good.
That's right. I was just actually talking to Cameron out here before we started, and I'm like, you're going to reach people that I won't reach because I don't reach 20-somethings, but you are a 20-something, and you will reach them.
Yes.
So use that message, and because we all say it differently. And but you're right. That is a lie that I think the enemy tries to. Who cares what you have to say?
Yep.
You know.
Yep.
And so we really have to overcome that lie and know that the truth is we need everyone suited up, doing their thing in the kingdom right now.
Yeah, and I think when you talk about that, there's a mentality in that. When you're thinking legacy minded, I'm not looking at things from week to week or month to month or year to year. It's like, no, there's so much longer that this has to play out. Why would I worry about what was said yesterday or what's going on this week or how that impacted me that month? I'm thinking 20 years. 20 years. I'm not even going to remember that hurtful thing. I'm not going to remember how that affected me when I'm so focused on, like you said, just being able to create something as a creative or produce something or direct something or share something on a podcast that's not just intended for like that day or that month or that time period where it's like, I want that to last. There's that saying that survivors think like where they're going to get their food like day to day, and then there's those ones that like, I've found a way to survive. I think week to week, month to month, but it's those people who really like successfully do things in life are the ones who can think this is not just for now. This is for everyone else beyond me. It's like Kelly will say it all the time. What's your 150-year plan?
Yeah.
What is it? What is it? And
Yeah.
it's like that just changes the way you think. That changes the way you talk on a podcast. That changes the way you shoot a film or how you want to market that. It's not really meant to just market for that day and age. It's like, how does that prolong the life of that? And I think that's like what the Lord was giving us an example of when he was walking this earth. It's like, hey, I'm here now, but I'm a forever kind of thing.
Yeah. And I think our messages, like I said, there's not any new. We're not coming up with
Nothing new under the sun, right?
Under the sun,
Yeah,
right?
That's right.
But it still does new
Yeah.
because His words are alive.
Yep.
That's right.
And living. So you just don't know. I was talking to one of our guests that we had on earlier, and is an actress, and we were talking about receiving compliments. When people say, "Oh, you're so pretty," or "You're this or that," or whatever. And how in society we've gotten to where it's like, "Oh, you're funny," and you deflect it, right? Like you just deflect whatever.
Oh, it's not me. It's all God.
Yeah, whatever, right? You do this whole thing, right? We're so good at that,
Right.
And that was a whole journey I went on of being able to say, okay, well, if I was going to go give Misty a gift right now, and I was like, here's the gift, and you were like, oh, this whole thing, I don't want that. What is that wrapped in? What kind of paper is that? And you joked about it, and I'm like still sitting there holding it, like, wait, no, I was trying to give you a gift, and you dismissed it and never received the gift. The Lord said to me, why do you take those gifts from people and deny? And I was like, huh? What? And he was like, I want you to receive it. Because you never know the perspective in which somebody else is saying that. Right after that happened, I walked into a furniture store, and the lady that was selling the furniture walks up, and she was like, "Oh, you're so pretty," and I was like, "What do I say?" And then
You say thank you is what you say.
"Oh no."
You say thank you.
Well, I'm just really witty, so wit just comes right to my mind.
Here we go.
I know.
This is going to be good right now.
So I was like, ooh, la, la, la. And then I was like, you know what? I received that. Thank you. And she burst into tears.
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
And the Lord was like, the gift that you give back by receiving a gift. Why do you
right.
give gifts? Because of the joy in which you give the gift in. And that heals part of the person giving the gift. Because you don't know the perspective that the other person's trying to give that. Why are they giving that gift? What is it behind there? And when you receive that and you're grateful for it, what it does to somebody else. So it's like, no matter how long we're not coming with anything new, but that gift keeps giving, regardless if we're here or not.
That's
the
right. That's
words
good.
just keep giving.
That's right.
If we keep receiving them. And it's this kind of yin to the yang, the give, the back, and we have to be diligent about receiving good in our life and receiving those good words that people are giving out and being kind about other people giving words and don't judge the other people's words, which I think we're so great at.
Yes.
But just receive what you're supposed to receive and don't receive what you're not supposed to receive.
Yeah.
And then give good away when you can.
Well, and that's what I teach people when I teach them about podcasting, because a lot of people have a problem with, they're like, well, I don't want to be self-promoting. So that's like another, like the other side of
Yeah.
it. And I say, you know what? You are creating something that is a gift.
Yeah,
and if
that's
you
good.
don't share it with them, then they won't know. But I've also been on the other side. When I did the first Spark conference, I got a standing ovation. And people were like, oh, and I didn't know how to handle it.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
somebody told me, they came up to me afterwards and they said, Misty, just say thank you.
Yeah.
That's all you do. You don't have to deflect. You don't have to say, oh, God did it. Or, no, you just say thank you. You smile. And that was a hard lesson for me to
Yeah.
learn, because I didn't like the attention or the focus being on me.
Yep.
But then also with podcasting, I think it is a gift, but if we don't tell people about it, then they won't know. So it's not
it's good.
self-promoting. So there's kind of two sides to that coin.
Yep, I agree.
Well.
I agree with that. Well, I think what you're doing is amazing. I love the fact that you came into an industry and you looked at not judging it in a way that, like, this isn't up to par, this isn't good, but you jumped in and were like, how could I solve the problem of this? How can I be part of the solution of this and making it better? It was the same with the studio for me. It was like, how do I raise the bar in what isn't there right now, to make it better in a good way? And you jumped in and you did that. Kudos to you.
Thank you. I saw in the industry where the things that were being glorified, it's much like in filmmaking, the things that are glorified and the people that get the accolades and all of that. I was like, Lord, these people are doing such amazing things, but it's eternal impact. That, yes, they're doing all the hard work to create the episodes and all of the other things, and these other people that are glorifying these horrible things are getting recognized. And so I was like, how can I raise the bar to the industry to say, look, we're doing really good work here too, but then also to shine the spotlight on people who are truly doing great work.
Yeah.
Because it does have an eternal impact as well.
It's true.
Yeah. I love that about your heart. I love that about you. You're an inspiration. You've done lots of great things, and I know we're just scratching the surface on your story and what all lies ahead for you and Spark Media and all that you're doing. How does our audience find you, learn more about the conference? I know you can go to our website at fortheonestudio.com. At the bottom in the events section, you'll see her conference there. But how do the followers follow you?
Yeah, sparkmedia.ventures is our hub. It's our website. We've got free resources for people. We've got paid resources. We're just there to be a resource for the Christian podcaster. So lots of different ways to do that. They can get a free copy of our magazine digitally. We give that away to everybody because we want them to be encouraged and inspired. So, and then we're on social media. I'm Misty Phillip. You can find me kind of everywhere as Misty Phillip. So
Yeah, that's great.
Wow.
Yeah, well, thank you. And I hope that y'all all go check out her shows, check out her website, throw some support her way. And I know you'll be encouraged. I know you'll be inspired by all that she's doing and check out her network that she has. There's a lot of different podcasters that are on that as well.
65 shows. I think we're about 65 shows right now.
Yeah.
And
That's awesome.
and it's very different. The network, I was telling you earlier, I don't like control all the shows. I'm really just a place, I'm more like a directory to gather and cross promote people, because I want people to own their own content and be able to move it and do whatever they want with it. But I want us to work together to promote each other.
That's great.
Because we're better together.
Yeah,
Man,
that's
that's so
great.
good.
That's really great. Well, I've loved the conversation today. I love what you're doing.
Thank you.
And thank you for what you're doing in the industry and being a light and an encouragement and a problem solver. So,
Same to you, my friend.
yes, I appreciate you. So I'm Amber Buto.
Hosanna Arceri.
Till we see you on Set Live.